It's okay to want to make money and to make it. There is nothing wrong with claiming the worth of your services. Don't connect it to your value. There's no way somebody could pay what you're worth. There is not really enough dollars in the world for someone to pay you what you're worth.
Danielle Mercury, it's time for the show with Danielle. Welcome to the show, Danielle Mercury. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hello, gorgeous beings. Tonight's interview is one that was a long time coming. Shama is an individual that I was hoping to have on like the first season of having a podcast like 2 years ago. And here we are in the third season, halfway through, that she is appearing for you all. And I am a big believer in divine timing, not divine procrastination though, right? There's a difference. There's a difference between wanting something to happen and it doesn't naturally and organically fall into place and making excuses and procrastinating and saying that's divine timing. Big difference between the two. Okay. So I want you to take a look at anything that you're putting off or been kind of just waiting around to like make a move into, and you're kind of using this connotation of, well, it's just going to happen when it's supposed to. That feels like a little bit of resistance. That feels like hesitation. That feels like something that is maybe blocking you from moving things forward, which is actually a lot of what we're going to unpack in this episode with Shama. However, there are things that you put out there into the universe. One of the things was, I want my dear friend Shama on the show. And it just didn't happen. It wasn't because I didn't want it. It wasn't because she didn't want to be on it. It just literally didn't line up until now. And then when it did, when we had the conversation, it was lovely. It was amazing. It was expansive. And it was exactly what you need now. And that's perfect. And that is divine timing. So I want you to look at that duality of what we consider to be quote unquote timing, and to look at the things that you're putting out there, the seeds that you're planting, and trusting that the plant will come out of the soil when it's ready, when it's due time, as opposed to avoiding planting the seed at all because you're scared or don't have faith or don't trust the process or feel like you should probably just hold off and wait for the next season to plant it. And that's not the case. I say, if you want to plant the seed. And you'll see the flower when you're supposed to. It's not, I'll wait to plant the seed and eventually I'll see the flower. It just doesn't work that way. So that's my little piece around divine timing, if you will. So let's talk about my divine friend, Shama Dhanani. In all seriousness, Shama Dhanani is a hypnotherapist, soul coach, and success shaman. She's also the creator of sacred energy clearing tools, and she's my dear friend. She was a finance person. She's retired from that world, although she does bring, money and sacredness into her work now. But she is essentially an individual that is here for it. And she helps you to see beyond your blind spots. She helps you unlearn those limiting beliefs. She helps you clear those old patterns, whether in this lifetime or lifetimes beyond. And she really is a beautiful, here for it, bright, channeled shamanic healer and facilitator, and is just a lovely soul and a wonderful being. And I've known her for years now, and she's such a dear friend. And she's one of those friends that, like many of my friends in this world, where we can kind of go through some time, if you will, without speaking, but then literally like one of us will send an audio message and we just jump right in. We're just picking up where we left off, and whatever the person is sharing just makes sense in that moment. Like, oh gosh, I'm going through this, without even having to share any of the backstory. And we're just like both here for it. Or, oh my gosh, let's meet up in the middle and find a beach and go hang out, there for the day, or whatever it may be. She's just that kind of friend, which I really adore and works really well for me, to be honest. So enjoy the episode, enjoy Shama, enjoy the conversation, and please know that I enjoy you. Hello, my love. Welcome.
Thanks.
I'm so,
Excited to be here.
I'm so happy you're here.
Me too.
This is definitely a long time coming.
I know, but we're here.
We're here, which is it's actually funny because I had a I feel like when I was putting out feelers for the show, like I felt like you were going to be like one of the first people on it, and we're like in season like halfway through season 3, and like here you are.
Ooh, 3. I
Yeah.
like the trilogies.
Mm,
Mm.
yeah, we do like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you love all the things, numbers,
Like,
numerology.
yeah, and also I think of like the maiden, the crone. What's that? How's it start?
Hmm?
What is that? The maiden, the crone, the archetypes of the trilogy of the feminine divine.
Oh no, no, please share.
So there's different archetypes for the feminine divine. There's many of them, but I'm
Hmm.
trying to remember what exactly they are. I think I know it's the maiden and the crone, the mother, the maiden, the mother, and the crone, and they symbolize the trilogy of evolution through a lifespan, but they don't happen chronologically the way we experience them in humanness, because you can experience stages of the crone and that wisdom in the maiden space, and you can experience stages of motherhood in the maiden stage or the motherhood stage or the crone stage. So it's just archetypes that are symbolic of that.
I love that. I love that there's no separation within the trilogy. So the components of the trilogy are essentially all happening, coinciding and within each other. And when you may think, oh, I'm in the mother, you may be in the mother while learning
Mhm.
from the maiden, or the crone may be teaching something.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Like, for example, when women are actually going through that mother phase, sometimes they have to go back to the maiden to reconnect with themselves.
Yes, yes. I
Yes.
appreciate that you're bringing this up because I think sometimes with spiritual evolution and when you're in the role of the student and you're learning, sometimes there's this understanding or this feeling like you can't go back, right? Like you can't go back to being the student. You can't go back to being the maiden if you're the mother. Even like if you look at like the tarot, right? Like I can't go back to being the princess if I'm the queen. And it's like
Yeah.
actually you can and you will.
And you always do. Like speaking of the tarot, the very first one, the Fool, we go back to that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Every time we do something new, we are in that
Mhm.
place. And actually, it's beneficial to be in that place
Yes.
because
It
you
is
learn more.
beneficial. You learn more and it's symbolic. When I pull that, I'm like, "Oh, here we
Mm.
go. This makes sense. This is an alignment to the next level, the upgrade, the new beginning, in A Course in Miracles." I actually was reminded by someone I was talking to earlier today. She was like, "Remember, we forget so that we may access our truth."
Oh, wow. That's powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really powerful.
Right?
That's interesting because I always think of it like this entire process as a process of remembering.
Mm.
But even within that, we forget so we can go through the experience and remember again. That's so godlike.
Yeah, right? It is. It is. And I feel like the Fool card represents that too.
For sure.
That feeling of, "Oh,
Yeah.
here I am again. What am I doing? I don't know. I'm confused. Show me how. I forget.
Mm.
I'm a
I'm willing
fool."
to learn.
Mm, mhm.
Hmm.
And then that brings us back, and then once we're in it, then that's kinda where I'm feeling right now. I'm in the it's like, I thought I was in the Fool space, but I'm like, "No, I'm actually in the truth space right now."
Mm.
The Justice card, the I don't know what card would be a good
Hmm.
symbolic measure of
I know for me, I feel like I've been going through the tower a few times.
well,
Burn it down, girl. Burn
yeah.
it down.
Well, I feel like your chart sets you up for that in a lot of
Oh, for
ways,
sure. I
right?
realized that I definitely chose some intense evolutionary times to be here in.
You did.
I for real did. I was really ballsy about it.
You were, and I know that about you, and I always like that's always like not that it's like in the back of my mind when I'm with you. I'm like her soul chose some heavy shit, so like be nice, but like there kind of is that feeling, like
But like even when you do right, you're like,
uh
"Oh, I know I chose this. I just forgot."
Mhm.
So, why bother resisting? Why not just flow? Because it's already done.
Exactly. It's already in the lineage. It's already here. So just surrender into it. Just forget for a little while.
Especially right now. Like there's so many of us that are going through this. Doesn't matter what astrological chart you
Sure.
chose to be here in, right? It's
Right.
like it's getting everyone.
Hmm. Hmm.
We all
Yeah,
chose it.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think, yeah, it's not because people are looking at their chart or they're having some kind of spiritual awakening per se, and that's what's telling them it. It's just they're realizing like, oh, there's some kind of meaning behind all of this. And it's like, whoa,
I know.
it's layered.
Oof. But we can keep it fun.
We can, and that's so important.
That's the goal usually for me. I'm like, it's gonna happen anyway. How can I make it more enjoyable and joyful?
Yeah, instead of I used to kind of be in the dance of, well, let me just figure this out and then I'll have fun.
Yeah.
Kind
Oh
of
my God, that's
like
such an earth sign thing.
I know. Well, you know what it is? It's because I was raised by Capricorn parents, and that was really the way like, and I think a lot of, right, like very earth in general. It's like do your chores and then you can have fun. Do this and then you
Mm-hmm.
get your allowance. And I kind of was like, okay, do the spiritual healing work and then you are a god.
That's the conditioning of that reward system. And the
Uh-huh.
truth is, none of that makes sense. It's not
Mm-mm.
linear.
No.
It's so crazy. And so
No.
then we spend the rest of our lives unlearning it.
Right, forgetting. It's like
Oh,
I
forgetting.
would love to forget some of the conditioning that I have been forgetting, and it's really nice when you do.
It's so nice. Of course, that's why I do this for a living now. I help
Yes.
people forget the old stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You do essentially, and so what actually I would love for you to share a little bit around what got you into this practice of hypnosis and the different modalities so that you could help people forget so that they can move forward.
Yeah, interestingly enough, like many, it wasn't a conscious choice in this
Mhm,
physical form. It kind of happened to me and for me. At the time,
mhm,
I thought it was happening to me because it was intense,
mhm,
but I was going through a divorce and I followed all the check boxes, all the stuff that we were conditioned to think we were supposed to do. And I
mhm,
did, and I thought it was great until something destroyed the entire illusion. And I was going through a divorce and I went to hypnotherapy. And it was actually crazy because it was one of those fluke things where I was like, I'll give this a try. Why not? And then I come to find out how incredibly powerful it is. And I did it for like a year with my mentor. And I'm actually now a hypnotherapy teacher at her school, which is the number one resource in the world,
mm.
which I'm really excited about. But I did that and I didn't think I was going down a path. I thought I was just doing it for myself. And at the time, I knew nothing about the wellness space. I was in finance. Like
Mhm.
I was totally asleep. I was
Yes.
not woke.
Mhm,
And then I went and got certified just for me and my friends. And then the universe set me up. A
mhm,
couple recruited me out of my job that was in my wellness community where I was leading meditations.
mhm.
And I'd known them for a year. I trusted them, whatever. 4 weeks in, it turns out they can't keep that role open.
Wow.
And the universe was like, "Hey, you had to get a tough choice because otherwise you had it so good you weren't going to leave."
It's true. That's so true. And that happens, I think that happens all the time. There are quote unquote comfort zones and moments where we have it so good that we say we're going to leave. We say it's going to be different. We say we're going to move forward, but we don't.
Nope. So the universe does it for us. I
Mm.
had to deal with the universe. I was like, "Listen, I'm stubborn. You need to hit me with things 3 times." And it works. They usually
Uh-huh.
do. I think they've kind of become lenient on it now because now I listen more. But
Mm.
at first, I was like, I need it in threes so I can know this isn't me making it up in my head.
Yeah.
And when they did things, it definitely came in threes or at
Interesting.
least close to it. Yeah, it was really interesting. But that's because that's what I asked for, right?
Right. Hmm.
When I was going through that period. So that happened. And then I decided to launch my business. I think that was in 2015 at this point.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
look at you. Happy 5 year.
Oh my God, that's right.
Wow.
This
That's
is
a
what
big
happens when you're
year.
so
5.
present. I stopped
Yeah.
counting.
Yeah. 5 is a big year and
Oh,
lots of changes in a beautiful
yeah.
way.
I like that. It is a good number too.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me think of like, I don't know why it makes me think of like the cross or like the Egyptian cross, the Ankh.
Hmm.
It's weird. I'm gonna have to look that up. But
Hmm.
yeah, so I did that. And then I also got into like deeply meditative work. I went to India and studied there. Ironically, I'm Indian and I went to India and studied it.
Right. Uh-huh.
Which I find funny because people are like, oh, it's because you're Indian. I'm like, no, actually,
Uh-huh.
I'm American. I had
Mhm.
to go do the same thing you guys did. It may be in my blood and in my veins,
Right.
in my lineage, but like I still had to relearn the things I forgot.
Right. This wasn't happening in my household growing up.
Right.
Mm.
It wasn't actually, I was raised in an Islamic household. So
Mm.
none of this was
Sure.
even permitted. To this day,
Wow.
my parents are like, did you convert? I'm like, convert to what?
Right.
There's no one thing. I'm not going to pick one thing just so your confusion can make sense.
All right, which is again a conditioned belief that there is one thing that we follow.
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got on that path, I tapped more in and I opened up to like the intuition and stopped really relying on logic as much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say, initiated into the shamanic path by guides, messengers, and then I was guided to a shaman who I started working with, and I like opened up these doors that were within me that I didn't even know existed.
Like what?
Like getting direct channeled messages. And for the old me that worked in finance, I was like, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this me was like, oh, that message was so clear, so pure, so straightforward, and so untangled of any logic. It just is. And that's the clarity. And I started following those, and they always led to more expansion, more success, more magic, more support, the right people, the right communities. And it really just expanded that space more. And then eventually, when I started doing the shamanic work and the hypnotherapy work on people, it showed up in how they were seeing their results. And so it was like this trickle effect. It's like the more I opened up, the more I trusted, the more all of this just flowed through my only job at this point is to get the hell out of the way.
Right.
That's all I'm doing all the time. I'm getting out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making sure I'm a clear channel and letting it flow.
Yes. Yes.
But in essence, the thing I'm letting flow is the same thing that's in all of us.
Right. And I really feel like this is what people need to hear right now, listening, is the space of, I need to get out of the way, and I need to let anyone that is blocking this get out of the way too.
For sure.
You know?
For sure.
And that's really you getting out of the way then allows them to get out of the way. But I think sometimes it's helpful to also see it from that perspective, because for me, when I was in that space of I have to get out of my own way, I also had to let certain people in my life get out of the way too.
For sure. And I'd love to speak to that a moment, because
Yeah.
I know for me in my life, it's been my family. And while obviously I chose to be here with them because there's lessons and there's messages and gifts, they have been my most challenging obstacles. And that's always going to be the case, right? Because those are the people closest to us. And I had to really navigate getting out of their way, letting them go through their journey, which was not anywhere near mine. There is no comparing. I can't force somebody else through their process. It's not up to me.
No.
They have their own choices they made. I must have chose to come in and do this and really accelerate and allow myself to do it. But they made other choices, and I had to respect that. And that was actually really at first challenging for me, because I really wanted them to be happy. I wanted them to feel good. I wanted them to be able to live and feel the things I was feeling, but it wasn't their choice.
No.
So that can be really challenging. And that's why it's really important to really reach out to the right communities, the right leaders, the right mentors, and even have mentees. No matter where you are in life, there's somebody else that's looking at you going, how'd you get there?
Absolutely. And, one thing that it was kind of coming through when you were sharing about the family piece, because that's definitely been a piece for me as well. Again, Capricorn parents, I'm a triple Leo. It's an interesting dynamic. And I can see where, I brought them in for certain reasons, and I can see where they're on their own journey and to let them be. But I'm also starting to see, and this is what kind of started to come through, is by me kind of being a little bit of a disruptor in their life, that's also on purpose. And I don't need to keep kind of softening myself for them, because there's a part of me that I'm not in a place anymore where I'm pointing the finger at them. There was a place where I was very bitter, or I wanted them to understand, or I wanted to make them conform with what I'm doing. Again, coming from that space of wanting peace, ease, happiness. However, I'm kind of in a space now where it's like, I can't keep quote unquote protecting you from who I am. And if the way I show up to you is a bit of a disruptor, or is outside of the norms, or is not to your expectations, that's part of your journey that you chose. And so be it.
That is so powerful. And it's funny because that was something that I think had to take a lot of gentleness for me, because I'm not super gentle. I'm like direct. I'm really direct.
You're blunt.
I'm blunt, and I'm very sweet about it. And it's coming from a heartful place, and people feel it. But it's funny because one of my family members said to me, is like, have you always been like this? or are you just being an asshole to me? And I was like, nope, I'm not being a jerk. This is actually who I am. You've never taken a moment to recognize who I truly am because you always wanted to see me as you wanted to see me.
Mm.
And that's okay.
Mhm.
You can still do that if you choose, but
Yes.
it doesn't mean I'm going to bend to that anymore.
Yeah. And that's the space that we're in this decade. You know, again, I've been saying a lot, like we're moving out of the teenage years of our century. You know, we're not the teen anymore. We're moving into our 20s. We're adulting. We're taking a stance. We're living our life, you know, as we choose. And however anyone wants to conform around that, that's on them. And that's fine.
For sure. But I am really curious all the time of like, what's going to happen then with them?
I know.
Right? Like, what's going to happen with those that don't choose? Like, no matter what we do, we're rippling to them because they're
Yes.
in our impact zone.
Oh, right.
And just pray.
Yeah, we just pray, and I don't know. I don't get too caught up in the wonder. I guess I just trust that they'll navigate it in their own way, and yeah,
Yeah,
that's really all there is. And if it changes or shifts or they have questions, they'll open that back up to us, or they'll find somebody else, or
for
whatever it may
sure.
be, you know.
For
But
sure.
that's like anything, family, our collective, our political climate, our global climate. You know, it's all kind of like that wonder of what's going to happen. And we don't know, but we do know that we can navigate what's going to happen within our own journey and what do we want to happen. And that creates a synergy. And from that synergy, something's going to unfold and we operate off of that.
The layers.
Mm, so many layers.
I
Okay.
know.
So I want to pivot for a moment because you're actually my first shaman on the show.
Ooh.
And I feel like shaman was having a moment in the kind of trendy space, right?
Yeah, that's why I don't actually publicize that
Yeah.
as much. I mean, I am a hypnotherapist. That's my
Right.
primary thing. The
Mhm,
shamanic work happens as
mhm,
part of that process if people are open to it and there's consent from them.
mhm,
But I also do shamanic work exclusively just for that. But I'm
mhm.
really sensitive to it, and
Yes.
here's why. There is this is the layers we're going to go into now, right?
Okay, please do.
The layers. Okay, so there is the consciously aware knowledge of what shamanic lineages are. Shamanic lineages hail from many different parts of the world, and there's history that goes back to saying it's from Siberia or it's from South America. And honestly, we wrote history as humans, so it's from everywhere. That's how I
Mm,
see it. Shamanic practices are the original form of healing practice. And in every, excuse me, culture, they call it something different, but they're the healers of the culture, period.
mhm,
They're the healers. And it was in the original forms, it was the physical and mental and emotional healers. That one person held the possibilities and the tools to help somebody with all of those elements. And as we've evolved in our humanity, those pieces have broken apart. So, like now, the physical has become much more dominant in the medical community, right?
yeah.
And like we still have people coming in, bringing in like naturopaths, right? And things like that. That's also from shamanic lineage. Then
Mm,
we have the spiritual healers, then and the emotional healing, right? And which is to me, it's intertwined, but some people do separate those pieces.
mhm,
Um, and so we've taken that and also taken it into, let's say, mental health spaces, right? So now that's where it happens. And there's all these rules and conditionings around it and all this other stuff. So when I say that I'm a practicing shaman, I'm using the energetic and spiritual aspects of it. I'm not using the medical aspects of it simply because I'm not trained in it. I'm not practicing it. And the part of it, it doesn't make sense for me to even try to take that on because in our world, there's so many restrictions around that. And there's just so much going on. So that's a different element the medical community handles. But as far as the spiritual and energetic aspects of it, there's so much that we are able to access and heal through tapping in through our energy fields, through tapping in through our emotions, on our subconscious levels, and getting into that place where all those things are buried and trapped. For example, I did a session with somebody yesterday actually where they went and they had to clear something as to why they couldn't really own all parts of them, and they
mhm,
went into an ancient life in Egypt.
mm.
I had no idea that
Yeah,
was going to happen in a
yeah,
hypnotherapy session, and all of a sudden I'm a shaman now, right? Like that's when it switches
right.
on.
Shift roles. Mhm,
Right, and it's like
mhm,
right, and so then we cleared that karmic blockage of this person being in their Egyptian lineage, and that's why they couldn't move forward. But
mhm,
then as that happens, being tapped in, it's like, oh, there's actually more to that. And this person didn't know that initially, and they may have known it in that moment.
Yeah.
But we go in and I was like, okay, it's time. Then it's like I get to energetically look at this person. It's almost like a scan and seeing, oh, there's actually more of this Egyptian lineage tying them down into this almost limiting like slavery mentality, right?
Yes.
And when what we imagine of that, imagine that. Like what it was like to be a slave in Egypt. Like, oh my God, this person is actually carrying that with them right now. And so we break that down and we remove it and we release it back to that timeline or back into space or wherever the hell you want to release it and let that go. So it's like those kind of practices that is really modernizing the shamanic practice. Now, I will say this much. I was not born into this lineage and raised in this lineage. There are practicing Native American shamans that were born into it and practice it. And they do it differently. They do it more aligned with that lineage and its direct teachings passed down. So there you're going to get something very, very different. Where I get it, it's much more from like different etheric realms teaching me and different shamanic teachers who have manifested here in a physical form teaching me. But some of them may be from that Native American lineage. Some of them may be from a lineage in Eastern Europe. Some of them are from a lineage in South America or Latin America. So there's all these different teachings. And I think part of what made it the hype is the teachers are now being recognized and then the hype flows in and people want to do it. But you have to get in there and do the work.
Yes.
If you have not went through the depths of the underworld of yourself and cleared out your own darkness or at least made love to it, how the hell are you going to help anybody else?
You can't. The energy
So,
isn't tapped in enough.
right. And that's where what you're saying, how it became like a big thing for a while. I think
Notice
that's
it.
what happened. And those people who didn't actually do the work had to fall off.
Right.
They had to go back and do the work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think there's going to be more of that kind of coming through. And again, I don't really want to point the finger, but I did notice there was like a phase where it just felt like everyone was kind of tacking that label on. And I really wanted, and you did so beautifully, like really help understand the essence of shamanic teachings and showing up as one and what that involves. And especially for someone that's curious and kind of looking into that type of modality or healing or working with someone, what should they be looking for?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, the first thing I would say is always, by default, this should always be a part of a criteria whenever searching for anybody. They have to resonate for you.
Mm.
It may not make sense in logic, but you may not get, let's say somebody's on their, let's use the scales that we're used to as human forms, right? There's somebody that's a beginner, then there's going to be intermediate, and there's going to be advanced, which is really just more practice. There is no, I'm 100% at this because these are all very etheric things. There's no perfect formula for every single person. So, what you want to look for is one, who resonates for you. Two, watch them, witness them, see how they show up to the people that they are serving, see how they show up to you. Can you sense that they're truly standing in that space and being able to be grounded in that space to help you from there? Or do you feel like, oh, I don't know if that person's really confident in what they're doing? Because that's a concern.
Yeah.
Like, I would never go to a doctor who's not confident enough and let that person do surgery on me.
Right. Right.
That's not okay.
No,
So
it's not.
make sure that that person exhibits some level of knowledge and confidence in what they're doing because that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Three, this is something that people don't look for, but I think it's really important. There is no quick fixes.
Mm.
There is no quick fixes when it comes to things like what's in your subconscious and what's in your energetics and your energy space when you're trying to heal something. Some
Mm-hmm.
things may happen rapidly.
Right.
Rapid progress is possible.
Mm-hmm.
Something can happen in one session. It's possible.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have somebody saying, "Oh yeah, we could do this in one day and you'll be all set," be very wary
Yeah. Yeah.
because these kind of things, they trickle. You'll go to a person, you'll do an energy healing. A person who's really responsible, for example, I'll share with you like something that my shaman taught me and I've learned it and I think is really important. When you go to a shaman or a healer, they also have to have integrity with how they manage themselves.
Yeah.
If I didn't sit there and have a conversation with you and interact with you and get to know you and understand what kind of space I'm stepping into to help you, then I'm really not being responsible. So if that person's really focused on like, yeah, this is what you do, I'll pay me and we'll do this and we go in and we're done, boom, boom. Where's the level of responsibility in that?
Yeah. Yeah, there
Sometimes
is.
it's great, but
Sure.
I'm cautious with that. Like if you're in really dark places, I'm going to
Mm,
have more conversations with you before we go to the healing table or the healing room,
yeah.
because we need to understand a little bit more of what you're stepping into,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because I need to understand what you think of it,
Yeah.
because that person may have something that's hidden that they're not revealing.
Yeah.
But if I step into the subconscious space or the underworld space with them and that thing reveals itself, but that person didn't reveal it to me and I didn't take the time to engage them enough to dig into the layers of the conscious space with them to understand where they are with that, then they've compromised both of us.
Yeah.
And I've compromised both of us.
Oof.
It can actually do more damage.
Yes. Yes. And likely that could bleed into to you as well.
It could,
Right.
except the difference is I will know how to clear it.
Right. Right.
Well, actually, if that person isn't a responsible shaman, then they won't know how to clear it, actually.
Right. Right. Like in your situation, yes, should
Right.
something right, but in a space where
For
yeah,
sure.
you're getting in with someone. One, so this is really helpful. And what would you say, there are some people though that are very nervous about this notion of the darkness. Maybe when you were talking about being in the underworld,
Yeah.
like they start to
Mhm.
freak out. What do you say to these, because I'm sure like it,
Yep.
it comes up, people get nervous.
For sure. And here's what I would say to that. First of all, the darkness only exists because there's a duality, right? The light exists in the darkness exists because of light. The contrast
Yeah.
shows you that both exist. And here's what I will say about the darkness. It is actually a healthy, nurturing, nourishing place. And I know that's radical.
Hmm.
Then here's why. That is the place you have stored everything forever. And that is the place. Think of it this way: when you have like a space in your home, things that really matter to you, usually hold on to them, right? And you store them somewhere. And then you go there one day and you pull them out, and maybe there's memories there from past relationships or past traumas or past joys. You're going to go through a range of emotions. You went into that dark box and pulled that stuff out. It didn't kill you. It
Right.
took you down a journey of where you stored something.
Mm,
That's what that darkness is about. It's going to take you into a journey of where you have the depth of whatever is buried for you stored. Maybe not intentionally buried, but just because life, and there's
yes.
not everything access. A couple of ways I like to describe this is, that space is very womb-like, very feminine womb-like, in that it may be dark and it may be a little contained, but it's also where life is birthed. And it's a powerful, fertile place. Using it in the practical sense. And now this is why it's interesting. The shamanic is the energy space, but the hypnotherapy part of it really touches on science. It's the science core of it. And in that, you're going into your subconscious space, where 95% of your behaviors and actions and things that you do in life are coming from that place.
Hmm.
They're stemming from that. If you're holding yourself back, it's stemming from there. If you're allowing yourself to flow forward, it's coming from there. Just like a lotus blooms, it's coming from the dirtiest, muckiest place at the bottom where it's the darkest, but it comes up to the light to be the most beautiful thing there is. You cut it off from the source of that darkness, it's not going to strive very long.
Mm, right. That's so true. It's done.
It's a nourishment. It is
Mhm.
like the umbilical cord. So that dark space is actually fertile ground.
Oh,
And it can be looked at as dangerous because when you step into fertile ground without recognizing what landmines you might have planted in there years and years and centuries and lifetimes ago, it can seem a little worrisome.
yeah.
And that's why I think you should do the important work of making sure you pick a good practitioner to work with
Hmm.
that is not afraid of going into those places.
Right. That will go in there with you and
Right.
can
Because
navigate. It's wearing the headlamp.
exactly, exactly. And they've done the navigation, they've
Hmm.
done it.
Hmm.
Did that help answer that question?
Oh my goodness, of course. It really did.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's such a beautiful you use perfect analogies.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's actually, it's funny. I didn't know this, but when I first started Hypnosoul coaching and Shama's Light, I used the lotus as my logo, and I didn't know why until afterwards.
That's so interesting.
It was so cool. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
I love it. I'm actually
Yeah.
looking at I have so I have my apartment came with a television and it's very large. It's like 72 inches.
Oh.
It's big, yeah. And I like it.
I'm going to leave that alone.
Mhm. And so it's big, it's a little obvious during the day. So I got this gorgeous tapestry to put over it during the day, or basically whenever I'm not using it. And it looks gorgeous on there. And I look at it when I'm recording or doing work, and there's a in the center of it is just this gorgeous lotus flower that's opening up, and I was just staring at it while you were talking.
How perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's so
know. And
beautiful.
isn't it interesting though, even with something so subliminal like this, right? Even with the image of a lotus, how
Mm-hmm.
many of us actually see the cord of it going down into the muck? They don't even show that imagery. We
No.
have this conditioning in our society that really just avoids the darkness, avoids the discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
avoids the things that just don't seem to feel good.
Yeah.
And I'm all about like doing what feels good. That's joy
Of
is
course.
my North Star.
Mm.
But I get to it by rising to the joy, by honoring what's in that core.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're taught to disclose the darkness. We're taught not to talk about it. We're taught not to open that box back up, or only do it once in a while and then close the lid really quick. We're not taught about the beauty that it, the journey that it took to get to the beauty of the lotus flower, the journey that it took, for so many things. And that's why I think we almost take it for granted. And we're in such a culture of more, 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 because we want more, because we never understand the duality of what is. And so we're just kind of reflecting the shiny object at the top and not really understanding its symbolism, if you will, and why it got to where it did. And so we just kind of keep collecting and collecting and trying to get to the next one to find that true sense of joy and satisfaction. But it's really through going to the other side, and being in that space of seeing where it came from, embodying the darkness, that we can kind of start to even out, and maybe even cut back some of that eager tendency to just want more.
For sure. And as you were saying that, I remembered something that really that resonated for me, at least. A lot of those layers include so much shame.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that it's time for us to just let go of and start shedding, because shame and fear will bury you.
Mm, yeah. And
And
guilt.
those are not the darkness. Those are what keeps you from actually going into the nourishment of the darkness to bring back the rewards.
Mm. I like this. You're kind of clarifying, like, I think we think shame, fear, guilt, those things are darkness. Those are
Mhm.
actually the barriers. They're the
Yes.
gatekeepers of the darkness.
Right. And their their intention may be to protect you, right? Because the world wanted to make a pretty picture and create things that are safer, but the reality is there's nothing to protect from.
Right.
That's the illusion.
Mm. There's nothing to protect from.
Mm-mm.
There's nothing to be worried about.
You are generating the fear, shame, and guilt to protect yourself from. Stop it.
Knock it off.
Knock it off.
Go to your room and be in the darkness. Now.
Oh, if I knew then what I know now.
Oh, if I had a dime for every time. Yeah, but this is such good perspective. And you do a lot of work with money mindset shifts too. And I'm assuming there's a lot of this that correlates with our money beliefs.
Oh my God, so much. So that's the adventurous part of this journey. I spent 19 years in finance, and then I was
Right.
like, no more, I'm done.
Yeah.
But I realized that this is where it becomes modernized, right? The hypnotherapy and shamanic work, because it's not just about reclaiming the parts of your soul and the parts that shame and fear and all those things are trying to like hide you from because they think it's embarrassing, but it's really about then taking that and applying it in practical ways, because at the end of the day we're great beautiful spiritual beings, and if you want to connect back into that, that's great. But in the spiritual community and the fads, this thing has come where people have gravitated to the other opposite extreme, and the work is to integrate it into your life. So, yeah, you want to do well financially and pay your bills and accumulate wealth to do the things you want to do. But then when you go to the other extreme and focus too much on that, you become a slave to the system of capitalism and money. You don't
Hmm.
want to be a slave. You want to use it as a tool.
Yes.
Integrate it into your work, integrate it into the middle somewhere. Bring all that spiritual work into the middle, bring all that financial work into the middle, and really enjoy this human experience. It's okay to want to make money and to make it. There's nothing wrong with claiming the worth of your services. Don't connect it to your value. There's no way somebody could pay what you're worth. There's
That's
not
really
enough
good.
dollars in the world for someone to pay you what you're worth.
That has a lot of meaning.
Yeah, like one of the examples I give is like whenever I'm talking to like a new prospect, I tell them like, listen, my dad had heart surgery a couple of years ago, and that surgeon repaired my dad's heart and gave back his life. Like, there's no dollar amounts a hospital can charge us to give that value, but they charge us what's fair on their standards. It's a whole different conversation.
Right, but like what the exchange is to be able to,
right. And in the world, that is subjective. You determine it.
Right.
You determine it. There's no judgment.
At the costs, and
you're not better or worse for charging $500 a session versus $60 a session. It is what you want.
Right.
Own it.
Yes,
the worth of your offering is not your worth. It is what you're assigning a value for what you're offering.
Yes, that's such a good separation, because it's so easy, especially if your business is tied to your name. Like, you are literally like actively doing what it is that you're doing. It's not you. But even if you're making a salary, again, it's not like you are worth $60,000, right? Because you're not. Like, no one's auctioning your body off, you and being like, 60,000 is the highest bidder for this person's worth. It doesn't represent that. This is just you separating it enough, or extending it to the space of, in my case, I'm Danielle Mercurio, and I offer this. I offer, let's say, I offer astrology sessions. The astrology session is valued at $333. That doesn't mean that I'm valued at $333. There's a difference. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of the clients that come to me for the financial, like to build their businesses and stuff, that's like one of the first hurdles we have to address, because for some reason, unfortunately, in the wellness and coaching space, that distinction was never made. People are always like, well, you need to claim your worth. And I'm like, you can never claim your worth, dude.
Right.
You're priceless.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
You are priceless.
Because you bought into it, now you think that when somebody doesn't pay you the value you assign, that you're not worth it. And it creates this whole psychological block. And once you create that, you have an energetic block, and you're not bringing in clients anymore. And now you're stuck.
Of course, because you're worthless.
Yeah.
So why would anyone? Yeah, no, it's so true. Because I mean, that's how I teach around money, and especially in the coaching industry. It's like, I want you to take ownership of your services, of your offering, of your area of expertise, and price it from there. I never made the connection of like, but you can't put a dollar amount on you per se. So I was kind of doing that without realizing I was doing that.
I did too for a long time. And then I was like, wait, why did I just pay all this money to this coaching program for the whole year? And then I realized, no, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
It happens. We live and we learn. But like so that's one of the distinctions. And the other thing, like, that I really, coming back to that middle, right? Like, I worked with a lot of wealthy people. Like, when I was working it was wealth management. We were managing the money of wealthy people. And it's interesting that it doesn't matter how wealthy you are, how abundant you are. The mindset of wealthy people is different in how they leverage the financial assets. So I help people leverage what they have and generate more, so they have more to leverage. It's not about income, expense, debt. Yeah. It's a little different, right? Because what happens is, even when you're super uber wealthy, if you haven't conditioned your mindset correctly, you're going to get to that place and be constantly freaked out, worried that you're going to lose your money. And I dealt with a lot of that with wealthy people. Always freaked out, thinking they were going to lose their money. So much money, it's lasting them generations, but yet freaked out, stressed all the time. And I was like, that's not what we came to Earth to do.
No, definitely not. And so it goes to show, it doesn't matter, like, if you're making multi-million profits, or you're, making $1,000. It's the energy behind it, like that energy of like, I'm gonna lose this lifestyle that I'm accustomed to, whether it be $1 million lifestyle or a 5-figure lifestyle. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of like, where's that belief coming from that you're gonna lose it?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, realistically, we're all, like, in this day and time, we've all hailed from some type of lineage where there's been some type of I'm trying to be sensitive with the words here, but the truth is some type of like slavery mindset. Doesn't matter where we're from. It doesn't matter if you're brown, black, white, because we've all been through it. Maybe except for England. But even those people have been
Yeah,
through it,
England
unless
was
they were
the
the
one that,
royalty.
yeah, the England
Unless,
was the word that came to mind when you were like, we've all been through it. And I was like,
yeah.
about.
So we have it in
Mhm.
our energetic and like our lineage. Like from India, we were under British rule. I never experienced that, but
Right.
my parents experienced that and they raised me, right?
Mhm.
And so in their mindset, and maybe that's why Indian people have such crazy work ethic. I don't know, because they're always trying to get ahead. And
Yeah.
it's a joke that people always say to me. But like
It's
we
true.
all have it to some degree. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter where you are, you still have the opportunity to rise above that and clear that and let it go. It doesn't fit your life anymore. And
Mhm.
that's the thing that I think is really powerful when I do this work is the things that we've inherited, the thoughts, the beliefs, the conditionings, even like the karmic stuff, it doesn't fit now anymore. And we're being asked to rise and show up to our present. How can you ever do that if you're still carrying the baggage of the past?
Exactly. Yeah. The times that we're in right now are completely asking for a different perspective, a different mindset, a different energy. And so that is why it's important to do your due diligence in finding proper healers and practitioners and facilitators to help you manage that so you can leverage yourself into these current times in a way that is expansive and allows us to keep moving forward.
For sure. Yeah.
It's a big piece.
It's a really and with that said, Danielle, like you know this, right? And your audience probably already knows this, but it's probably good to reinforce. Like we are so fully supported in this right now because we're in that space.
Yes, we are. Like I really feel it right now, like so much so.
Yeah. So if you are feeling the call, rise because you will be supported.
Rise.
Rise for sure.
It's true, you will be. And what would like I would love to hear kind of like your last on someone that's still kind of like, all right, sure, they're both saying that, but like they're well established at this point. Like it's not gonna work for me. Like what would you say to that?
I started somewhere.
Mm,
I was asleep. I was numb. Was it an easy like day at the beach? No, it wasn't. But I promise you this much. Being trapped in that old mindset was so much more painful than doing the work to get here.
mm,
So start wherever you are. Don't look at other people and go, yeah, they're there. Don't worry about them. Don't let whatever resonates go with you. What doesn't, toss it out the door.
yeah.
Nobody is your guru. You are your own damn guru. Find yourself and your own power. And from there, when you speak, there'll be something that resonates with the soul next to you.
Hey there, my name's Marissa Iman, and I'm the host of Incandescent, an unconventional meditation podcast. If you've been thinking you want to get into meditation, or you already know you love it, this is the perfect meditation podcast for you. You can listen to it while sitting in stillness, or while going about your day, walking the dog, doing the dishes, allowing yourself to be more in the present moment, no matter what it is you're doing while listening to beautiful music and positive affirmations. Tune in to Incandescent Tuesdays through Thursdays for a 10-minute break that serves as an espresso shot for your soul. And I feel complete.
When like you're speaking to me, things you're saying are resonating for me, right? And things I'm saying are resonating for you, but not all of it is. And that's fine.
Yeah.
We don't have to expect that, as you're beginning, you don't have to expect that you'll know it all. Be okay with pulling that fool card. Be in the beginning stage. Honor that part and be present in that part. You'll
Yes.
naturally elevate from there. It will just happen. And then guess what? You'll fall back into the fool card because I keep doing that too. And everybody does.
Mhm.
There's a humbling in it that's so freeing and it's worth it. So, what I would say to the beginners is get humble. Stop worrying about what I think or you think. If something resonates, tap into that. If
Mhm.
you're being triggered right now, tap into that.
I love it. I love
That's
it.
good. That's all. That's all the fertile stuff down there.
Full circle
Full
from
circle.
the start of this convo. Way to wrap that up.
Oh.
I feel like you
See,
did, right?
I didn't even try.
I realize that. I
But that's the point, right? Like,
right.
just allow it to flow. If I was
Mhm.
wondering, if I was sitting here thinking, oh my God, are they going to judge me?
Mhm.
Or what if I do this? I'm new. I've never been here. I've not done a podcast with Danielle. Like,
Mhm.
if I was doing that, this wouldn't be any fun.
No, it wouldn't be fun. And not only would it not be any fun, it wouldn't be real. It wouldn't be authentic. And there's no point in me doing that. Everyone that listens knows I'm not here for cookie cutter. I'm not here to ask superficial questions or surface level things. I'm not going to ask the questions that every other podcaster is asking because they think they're supposed to. Like, that's not why I created this. There's no point in me creating it if that's going to be the way. I just want to literally hit record and allow our authentic voice to come through and let it be that simple.
And actually, I'm going to double down on that with you because that's it. That's what, if you're listening right now and you're wondering, how are these doing it? They're well advanced. Be authentic. Be where you are.
Yeah, it's true.
And go be curious.
Yeah.
Go explore.
Mm-hmm.
Find other people who are in the same places you are. Find other people who are leading these places. Be curious.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would say if you ask the ways that I got to where I am right now, it was through being curious, through connection and community and authenticity.
Yeah. Actually, wait, I'd love to tell our story a little bit because
Sure.
that's actually part of this. So when I was in that complete beginner stage in like my first year is when Periscope came out, and that's where we found each other. And I just remember I felt such a resonance with you. And I randomly reached out one day and was like, hey, you want to hang? And I was like, I think it was at the beach day. I don't know what we did.
Well, it's always the beach for us.
It's always the beach for us.
It was when I was in LA, right?
Oh, right.
It was when it was when I was on my little remember I had the nomadic journey. And so for anyone that doesn't know about Periscope, it was a live streaming app that was before there was Facebook Live and Instagram Live, there was Periscope. And it was really, I loved it because it was like a little bubble. And where like just the people that wanted to be there were there. And while I started it when I was living in New York City, but then when I decided to go to California and be a little nomadic, I took my Periscope audience on that journey with me. And you had reached out because you were doing Periscope too, though.
I was, yeah. And actually, I was in LA for my training for hypnotherapy. I think it was my second level or something. I don't remember. And I remember you were out there and I was like, oh, Danielle's out here. Let me just reach out. And it worked.
Yeah.
And I went and had coffee with you. You guys, I didn't know Danielle other than Periscope. But if something resonates with you, you never know. And now I love you. We go to the beach every year.
Yeah. And I love how our schedules just always like randomly line up. That's just like our thing, which I appreciate. It was pretty cool. I was house sitting in Hermosa Beach at that time.
I remember. So like, just be curious, people. Be vulnerable a little bit. Reach out. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Don't make it a personal thing. It's okay. If Danielle said no to me that day, I wouldn't have been like, oh, she hates me. No, I'd be like, all right, she's busy.
It's true. Yeah. And that would have been fine. And I did I had a moment where I tapped in and was like, does this feel exciting to me? And it did. So I was like, I want to be curious and explore this.
And look at where it's led us.
And look at where it's led us.
Yeah. Fast forward years. So
and there we were.
How romantical.
So juicy. Well, I love it. And I love you. And I love our conversation today.
Likewise. I love you too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course. How can the people find you?
Yeah, so they can find me at my website, which is shamaslight.com. And if they want, they can find me on Instagram at shamaslight. And I will be launching a new money round program in March, at the end of March. So if they're curious about that, they can just hop onto my website and find out more or reach out to me.
Perfect. Easy.
Yeah.
We'll have that in the show
I like simplicity. That's the other thing I found from all the coaching programs. I'm like, sometimes this stuff works. Sometimes it's not aligned for who I am. And that's okay.
I agree.
Do things your own way.
Totally. But I think the most important part, what I found, because I went through a phase, I was like, I invested in this and I invested in that and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, no, every time you invested, regardless of what that content was or what they told you, you progress because you were saying, I want to invest in this. I want to do something for myself. I want to grow what it is that I'm creating. And I believe in this at this time. And so I'm going to invest. And through investing, I always got something back. And and oftentimes it wasn't the literal investment that I thought I was making. I wasn't getting the literal thing that I thought. I was getting something else that was even better, but not expected.
Same. So true. And actually, that's one of the things that I actually think is funny that I've carried over from a corporate days, which is, it's always to me, this is my view, it's always a better strategy to pay somebody who's done it, who knows it, than to take a 4-year journey figuring it out. Some people want to take the long road. That's fine. I like to go faster.
Yeah.
So
Let's do the thing.
So to me, it was also worth it. But I definitely feel like it's important to really find people that resonate with you. Because if I didn't do that, what you're saying about how I always found something from it and it was more than what I thought, that wouldn't have been the case. So I'm glad I always rolled with people who I resonated with. Whether they're beginners, whether they're extremely advanced, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
The connection is really the paramount. And then from there, everything can build.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
Yum.
So good.
I love that. So good.
So good. Yum, yum. Oh, well, thank you so much for having this conversation with me and just sharing all of your beautiful light and wisdom. So appreciated.
Thank you for having me and trust me, and I adore you. And I'm so excited with what you're doing here.
Thank you. All right, we'll talk soon, my love.
Okay. Have an amazing day.
So tell me, did you love this episode? While I may not need your validation, I certainly love it. So go ahead and make sure that you are following or subscribed or have reviewed this podcast in whatever app you listen to. And let's support the show by supporting each other. Share this out with a friend or someone that you know would just love to have a juicy listen. I adore you. You're amazing. Thank you.